Porn for the heart.
Get back!
Hey. Welcome back. It's Porn for the Heart. Porn for the Heart brought to you by Men Becoming Men. Facebook page, webpage of the same name. Drop us a line. Come see us there. Look, let's jump into this, huh? So I don't necessarily keep up with current events, at least not very currently, and this will be fairly obvious and self-evident with this one. And sometimes that's with blatant intent, but, either way. Even though I didn't see the ad for a week, I did hear about it, and so you probably did as well. And I'm referring to the Gillette commercial, the Gillette ad that was out, or I should say was out, or is out, whichever. And I think that this ad, really, if you start to look at it, is packed with so much to look at in terms of us men. At this point, given the hoopla all around this, I feel we have lost the actual message, the actual words that were spoken. And I think we need to look at that. I challenge most of you to get out of your heads on this. And when I say that, I mean, get out of all the bullshit you have been listening to about what you should believe about this. Are you ready to get out of your mind on this one then? Do you have that ability? Do you have the ability and the desire right now to get out of your mind on this and get into it? Because I want to talk about the video. I want to talk about the message. You all have had about 3 weeks almost to hear it, process it, be inundated with everyone's viewpoints on it. And hopefully now, able to get back, take some of that emotion out of it, and get into the actual video. Then let's do it. So I want to start off, though, with a little self-admission. I'm a recovering addict. Yeah. I know you're like, dude, stop with all the porn stuff. That, this last podcast, which it was. Go listen to that. But no, that's not it. Or at least that's not just it, but whatever. And we'll save all those other addictions, for some other time. But I'm a recovering addict about something else. Hi, my name is Eric, and I'm a recovering Republican. Yes, it's true. Oh shit, I'm losing listeners. No, come on, don't be so fickle. Let me tell you, if you're under the impression that when someone says they are no longer a Democrat or no longer a Republican, and you think that the alternative is that they're going to go to the other side? What? Are you kidding? So if you think that you're no longer a Democrat, then that means you suddenly turn into a Republican or vice versa? Friends, you are solemnly and solely mistaken. Now look, I'm no longer political at all. But I'm just saying, if you're not on one side, you don't have to necessarily be on the other side. And I just cannot still be a Republican. But again, I'm not really political at all anymore. So please stick around. Unless that's just what makes you draw the lines, then I guess so be it. So look, maybe I crossed a line here I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. But I do want to beg you to open your heart on this one. The whole reason I even bring up party affiliation is because our society has us believe there are only two sides. And you will be on one or the other. I say dispel that myth. I bring up my past and these past conditionings because now, when I hear or see things like this video, I immediately start to know where my affiliation should have been, according to my past conditioning. I know for a fact, almost right off the bat, really without ever even seeing the commercial, I know I should hate this commercial. As a Republican, I realize there's no way I'm supposed to like this commercial. I know it is an attempt by the liberal media to control me, to try to brainwash the youth of America into becoming effeminate. I know Procter & Gamble. I know they own Gillette, and I know the type of company P&G is. I know all of this, and I haven't even seen the ad. It may even all be true. It's irrelevant if it's true or not. That's not the point. And you know what? The alternative to all this is true for other people on other political spectrums. But if political party and affiliation is running your life, and I'm here to tell you that it is for so many of us, and we don't even realize it. We are being run by some machine. Look, you think you're independent. They like to tell you to say you're independent, but you aren't. Especially us men. Sorry, guys. We live in a black and white, one or the other, this side or that. I mean, the Super Bowl just ended, right? So tell me this. You're at a party and everyone is picking their sides. Look, none of us grew up rooting for either one of these teams, right? But it comes time, you're going to pick a side, right? And then there's that one guy who you ask, who you rooting for? And he goes, I don't really care. I don't really know. I don't really care. Come on. What are we guys thinking when you hear a guy say that? You're thinking two things. You're thinking he's either blatantly lying or in denial, or he's a fucking pussy. Come on. Don't care. Don't have a side. Whatever. Men, we are letting other people run our lives and take advantage of this black and white mentality that we have so many times. We hear about a video like this, and even before ever seeing it in person, we are running to our side and getting our talking points. Hell, sometimes we actually see the video for the first time, not on our own, but through the sight of someone else, and thus through their prism. So let's get all of that out of the way. Let's try to look at this objectively. This isn't coming from right or left, Republican or Democrat. Forget the fact that I told you what I was. I only used that for an example. The fact of the matter is, we need to look at this from our heart and not from the mind. I want to now look at the video. I want to look at the message. I want men to grow. Are you a man? Then look at it from your manly perspective, not someone else's. Sure, you're hearing it here. I realize that. What makes me differently? I'll tell you what, because I'm a fucking man, and this podcast is for men, and it's to help us. Not some political show, no political affiliation. It is to help us as men grow. So you want to know what that means to me? You want to know who I am? Again, why you should be listening to this? Porn for the Heart is brought to you by Men Becoming Men. I have a whole video on what is a man. You want to know where I stand on that? Go watch it. You want to know my views right there or anywhere? It's on my pages. It's on my podcasts. This is a show about men, for us men. So if you're going to learn about this video from anywhere, yeah, you know what? Here's a pretty damn good place to be. First and foremost, we seem to be getting masculine and man mixed up, or at the very least, using them interchangeably with this video. And I think that's kind of a quick way to misconstrue it, and we'll get into that a little bit. So I'm going to let you in on something. I was going to start this podcast off by reading some statements. Pretty much I was going to read a transcript from the video, but I wasn't going to tell you that's what I was going to do. And then through me reading it, I was going to see how much of it you disagreed with, and then would later reveal it to you that it was the ad. But I didn't feel like doing this. I didn't feel like this is the approach that I wanted. I didn't want to act like I'm trying to trick you or something like that. And I didn't feel like I wanted that response to dominate the message. So with full disclosure, I'll do it now. I want you to know where I'm coming from. So hear this. See where and how all this resonates with you, with no visuals at play and just with me reading it. Bullying and harassment. It seems we hear it daily, and it typically occurs at the hands of men. Not always, but usually. Is this how we men want to be perceived? This bullying and harassment of women and other men at the hands of men has been going on for a long time. We can't hide from it. We can't laugh it off, making the same old excuses of how boys will be boys. But something finally changed. And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men. Other men need to hold other men accountable, to say the right thing, to act the right way. Some are, in big ways and small ways. But some is not enough. Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow. So again, visuals matter, and obviously on the podcast I can't show you anything, but you can go watch this. But the words matter too. Which matters more? I don't know. But really, the message is pretty straightforward. And let me tell you, I listened to some other guys' assessments of this, and I read some of those right-leaning pundits that in the past I would have been attracted, and I was actually startled, a little taken aback at their outrage to the commercial. But again, perhaps I'm too naive, because I am not really focused on the commercial per se as I am on the message. I'm really struck, though, in this commercial by something the actor Terry Crews says at one point. He says, men need to hold other men accountable. Now look, Men Becoming Men is not about calling men out. I'm not here to call men out. It is about giving men the ability, a pathway, some guidance to finding themselves, to finding who they are. But in a piece of this, there is a bit of an understanding that we have something to learn from each other and from past actions of men, of me, of maybe even yourself, and rise to a greater standard, to hold ourselves accountable, to be the best version of ourselves. I challenge you to find something in that transcript that you disagree with. Bullying and harassment? I mean, do any of us support these things? Is boys will be boys a good excuse for actions that harm and injure? And somehow, I should believe that these messages are about demasculinizing men? Let me state something emphatically, a position of myself and this show. Being a man, showing your masculinity has nothing, zero, nada, let me say it again, nothing to do with taking advantage of other people. And it has nothing to do with tolerating it to be done to ourselves or any other person. And let me state with no doubt to be left that men have been taking advantage of other men, of our boys, the men of tomorrow, for way too long. And we have tolerated it. Our fathers have tolerated it, and some have even participated in it. Our religious leaders, our coaches, men in power, and we men have turned a blind eye to it, not wanting to rock the boat, not wanting to disturb our own position, thinking it is none of our business. None of that is manly or being a man, guys. Sitting down and shutting up while other emasculated men take advantage of other men is not manly. And us speaking up about it is the very definition of masculine. We got this ass fucking backwards. Those pundits saying this commercial is about emasculating men have got it all backwards. Look, we hear about the Me Too movement, and that is great and all. But I'm not talking about that. I'm here to talk about what other men have done to each other. Every passing year, you find statistics of young boys who have been sexually abused continues to grow. Statistics say maybe 1 in 9 boys under the age of 18. And guess what? A few years later, pass by, suddenly it's 1 in 5. I argue and believe it is much higher. But we men have shut our mouths and our hearts to what has occurred and is happening. Out of fear, maybe out of shame, maybe because it happened to us. You see, if there are this many boys that have experienced this, do you know what it means? It means it's happened to us. It maybe happened to you, maybe me, maybe so many of us. And it's happened at the hands of other men. Now, how manly is that? I fear I can't do justice to what sexual abuse does to a child and how that goes with them into adulthood when they become us, you, me. There's this organization called RAIN, Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Now, you know what they say? They say the victims compared to non-victims of sexual abuse are about 4 times more likely to develop symptoms of drug abuse, 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults, about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. And in society, we look around wondering why we have an increase in shootings and other criminal activities that maybe otherwise can't seem to be explained. Really? We wonder why about that? And we men, the stronger of the two sexes, which in reality is just not true, but either way, have been using sex and sexual exploitation of our minors to create a power of fear over other people of the other sex, and we fellow men have allowed this and have facilitated it through our own fear of acceptance or even acknowledgement of its very existence. But guess what, men? We can stop it. We can heal it. We can create the new dialogue, the right dialogue, because look, in the midst of everything I have said, we have a choice. Just like in listening to this commercial. Here, guys, I read this meme, which apparently is a condemnation of the Gillette ads. Listen to this. And I quote, "Toxic masculinity? 43% of boys are raised by single mothers. 78% of teachers are female. So, close to 50% of boys have 100% feminine influence at home and 80% feminine influence at school. Toxic masculinity isn't the problem. The lack of masculinity is." Unquote. And this was said as a condemnation of the commercial. What? This is exactly what the commercial is saying. It's saying the same thing. Toxic masculinity? That's not what the commercial's about. Sure, you can hear this said in the background at one point, but never is this what the commercial is talking about. Never did the commercial say masculinity is a problem. The only ones claiming this is what the commercial said are those who have no clue what masculinity is or even means. Because if they think men taking advantage of anyone is masculine, then I think we can start to narrow down where the problem in our society actually is. I mean, look, and I'm talking to you guys, my listeners right now. Are you offended by this commercial? You honestly think it is inferring that every single man is this way? Why? Why are you? I mean, you personally. Why are you going to be offended by this? I'm not. Why are you going to feel outraged over something you have not done? I'm not going to do that. I don't get offended when I know who I am and know they aren't talking about me. I also know who they are talking about. And so do you. So now, are you going to stand up and start to make a difference in big ways and small ways? You know, it's funny. Men Becoming Men recently released a video of a group of men who sent in their videos detailing what they thought it was to be a man. And one of the guys in that, Michael Ramirez, literally described it in almost those exact words. He said that being a man meant showing up in big ways and in small ways. Heck, I think Gillette saw the video and then they made their commercial. But seriously, men, there are millions of us who have not and would never participate in the sexual exploitation of anyone. No child, no woman, no fellow man. So don't be offended by any of this. Instead, recognize its existence and stop turning a blind eye. Stop thinking it is not your responsibility and instead join with other men and let's start to heal this world. You want to know what being a man is? You want to know what being masculine really is? It's being a fucking leader. It's shutting out the nonsense jibber jabber around us, coming into our own and leading. Do it for you. Do it for us. Do it for fellow men who really, really, really need you. Stop this cycle. Stop it now. Believe in the best a man can get. I do. And I am. And I will continue to be. For you, for me, for the men of tomorrow. For the men who are becoming men. If you just feel like you've got to be offended by something, which I don't think you should, but if you just feel like you got to be offended by something, then be offended by men who take advantage of anyone, especially each other. This is Porn for the Heart. It is sponsored by Men Becoming Men. And I'm honored to have every single one of you as a listener. I'm honored to know there are men out there who want to become men, who want to improve themselves, who want to be a better version of themselves every single day, who won't be led by some party affiliation, who won't allow the media to tell us who we're supposed to be, who we're not supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, and what we're not supposed to do. The leaders should be us. We will be the leaders, and we will be the protectors of everyone else, and we will stand firm in our integrity and in our beliefs. Thanks for listening. Look forward to hearing you guys next time.